Come back to Mishawaka for some home cooking, whether you're out late at night or up early in the morning. Featuring Dog and Suds root beer, iconic cupcakes, homemade biscuits and gravy. The Iconic Cafe, 215 North Main Street, Mishawaka.
Every Thursday night, 9 p.m., Iconic Cafe hits the digital radio airwaves with the best in home interviews and cooking. Be sure to check out Iconic Cafe Mishawaka Facebook page for upcoming and archive shows. Now that's iconic.
Hey, welcome. We're on the air, Iconic Radio. Hey, this is Bruce Tasso. Thanks for listening in. I know you're snowed in if we're in the Indiana area. For Bill, always like to do the XERS weekly events. Phoenix Grill, there is nothing tonight. Friday, they have Top Secret. And Saturday, Hipposonics. That's a pretty good name for a band. 5-star tonight, Open Jam. Friday night, Blammo. And Saturday night will be Deadly Devotion. Cheers Pub has an open jam tonight. Friday night will be Attention Deficit. And Saturday will be Forever Gypsy. And Rock Sports Bar has on Saturday Paul Erdman. And I just heard from Bill that members only will be at Smith's Downtown tomorrow night. They'll be downstairs in the no smoking section. So that'll be great. Bill will have his classics on tonight. He'll give me that. So I always want to thank Brenda, the Iconic Cafe. We're closed today just because of the weather. Should be open tomorrow for some great specials. Again, on Facebook, you've been hearing, I've been posting. It's really great to have Tom Russell back on. He's got some special guests tonight, all dealing with his book of Finding Your True North, A Bullied Teen's Journey of Hope. Tom, how you doing this evening?
Cold, but it's kind of nice. it's kind of nice in the house right now.
Well, I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate Logan coming, and Erica too. You know, it is like a blizzard out here, but it's always nice. The show goes on, and this is a really important show, and I'm really excited about it. So I appreciate you being here, and to all the listeners on too. Tom, since we last talked, why don't you give us an update? I know you got some speaking engagements coming up, how the book's doing, and some book showings.
Well, you know, the book sales have been going really well. They are in Barnes & Noble, Hammett's Bookstore, Better World Books, Mumphy Books, and I'm not exactly sure where else, but it's on Amazon. It's kind of a worldwide thing, but it's been a real treat seeing the reaction that I've been getting from the people who've read the book and the people I've met. Through the book signings, it's been an incredible experience.
Well, and I think it's great because even when I met you with the book, I mean, it was such an inspiration. And like I said, I'll get on my soapbox now with you. I thought your approach was proactive for people. You know, it's not focusing on the bully. It's focusing on yourself, you know, making yourself better. And that's, to me, is what it's all about. And I think it's great with it. You might have some speaking engagements coming up.
Yeah, I just I knew that what I needed to do was network as much as I could. And I do it through LinkedIn, through Facebook, just a lot of different social media that I'm able to connect with people. And one thing leads to another, and all I do is just keep asking and asking and asking because I feel so passionate about getting my message out to people, particularly kids. And this is something that has to be done. And so if I'm going to be the mouthpiece for it, I have to do it.
Well, that's great. Hey, why don't you give us your Facebook page and other things where people can get a hold of you, too?
Facebook page basically is Tom Russell. It's or author Tom Russell. I don't have a website just yet. I'm currently working on it right now. I'm like I said before, I'm really not a techie, so I'm trying to get some help out there right now, getting that done.
Well, and I think too, like I say, you can go on Amazon. There's I don't know how many reviews you got now, maybe 50, just with the book. The last time I was on with it. And it's a great book. It's worth getting. And like I said, Barnes & Noble, you can get it too. So we're going to take a quick break coming up, but I want to introduce Logan. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing?
Very good, Logan. We got to meet Logan last week And I was so impressed with you, Logan. I mean, really. And once we take a break, we're going to hear some songs by Zach Du Bois, and we'll be back with you. And again, we'd like to hear your story. I mean, it's you kind of talked about a firsthand experience, you know, what it's all about. And again, you have a proactive approach to what this is all about, and even to the point where you're helping other people. And I think that's great. So, all right, we'll be back with some Zach Du Bois, Iconic Radio. All right, we're back on the air. This is Bruce. Glad to have you on Iconic Radio. Hey, we've been getting text. One, I want to say there is diner music in the background. It's because the cafe I have, Iconic Cafe, is where we were doing the radio show at. And it was just too noisy in there like it is with this. So we wanted to put some diner music in it to make it official. So hang in there with that. And again, Zach Du Bois, he's down in Nashville touring. Great guy, graduated from Notre Dame. So if you can, get his albums and please support him. So while we're back on, Tom, I want you to talk a little bit with Logan. We'll get on with it. There we go.
Thanks, Bruce. I was talking with someone on Facebook, and she was really concerned about one of her friends, and the whole idea about the book was to have an impact on children, particularly when it came to bullying. And when you finally find someone who needs help, I reached out to Logan. I went over to her house one day. Oh, how long ago was it, Logan? About
maybe 3 weeks.
About three weeks ago, and immediately we had some kind of connection. I can't. It was really hard to. It's really hard to explain right now, but it was like God was in the room with us, because we sat there and she told me immediately what she went through, which she will explain shortly, but. And then we just cried. It was such an emotional experience, because she told me everything that she was going through. But it was real interesting, because she turned it right around and said, "This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to do to battle this." And it took a while for this to come about. But I tell you what, ever since I've met Logan, I've seen such a huge transformation there. It's incredible.
Well, Logan, what did you see in Tom, though, too? I mean, because there had to be a lot of trust, I mean, with that.
Well, when I first met him, I actually didn't read the book. I didn't know anything about him. And when I first met him, I, like he said, can't even explain it. He just was, everything he said was just so inspirational, and, you know, he was so passionate about what he does, and it was amazing. Every word he said to me I just can't even explain it.
Well, you know, I guess with the bullying too, you know, from talking with you and other people, it's hard to get your emotions out, because it's like no one pays attention or wants to listen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so can you explain a little bit about that? Or maybe start at the beginning with the bullying with you. Why don't we go with that?
All right. Well, this kind of all started in second grade, and there was one specific girl throughout my whole entire life that just downed me on everything, you know? Second grade, my parents got a divorce, and, you know, it's kind of a time where, you know, your parents really don't get a divorce and whatnot, and I was made fun of because of it. About third grade, I was just mentally bullied. I was just, you know, name calling, rude words and everything. And about fourth or fifth grade, physical bullying started happening. It was just terrible. I got my head banged against a window and was made fun of, you know. That's kind of when I started getting, you know, acne, and I kind of started early and whatnot. Sixth grade, I was pushed down the bus stairs, and I hit my head. And throughout this whole time, you know, I reported these incidents, and school just didn't do nothing. You know, there was no proof to, you know, identify that this happened or anything, so they just didn't do anything. 6th grade, I was suspended, and I was suspended because I brought in a toy knife and I was playing with her sister, and me and her kind of, got in an argument about that, and she went and told her sister that I said that I was going to hurt her and whatnot, and they didn't have any proof, but I got suspended. So I felt like they were always defending the bully. And 7th grade, I was actually diagnosed with depression. Went to the doctor. I was always isolating myself and just didn't really have very many friends. It kind of pushed them all away. Then about 8th grade is when everything kind of broke down. 8th grade is when I finally went to the mental institution for the very first time, Epworth. And it was very helpful, but then at the same time it was probably one of the worst places that I could ever be to. It was kind of like just being down in the dark alone. You're kind of trapped inside of a room by yourself in your own thoughts, like why am I here? This isn't any fun. I just pretty much just in your own thoughts. It was just not what you want to go through. 10th grade. 9th grade. I was diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety. And that was actually very, very terrifying because, when you're diagnosed with PTSD, a lot of people in the war, is diagnosed with it. And, you get scared. You kind of hide behind people walking down the hallways because you're scared something's going to happen. And you're always paranoid about situations. And you're always shaking. And you're just, always in your thoughts. 10th grade, I was actually beat up by my best friend. She was told by my bully of 8 years, told by my bully that I needed a butt whooping. So got off the bus, and that's when it kind of happened. And I knew this was going to happen that day, and I went to the school and told the school what was going to happen. And the principal looked at me right in my eyes and told me I need to get out of her office and stand on my own 2 feet. And it was probably one of the most hurtful things I could ever hear from somebody, because you depend on an adult. You should be able to feel comfortable to go to, your school administrator and go to your principal and have them protect you, And so it kills to know, when you think you can go to somebody and they're not there for you.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest thing, is because, like you said, then you feel all alone. And, you talk about this, it's like a spiral, isn't it? I mean, if it starts and then there's just nothing to pick you up, it just keeps going. And it's almost like, I don't know if kids can sense it, that it just keeps bullying with you and stuff. And if after reading the book, a little bit, talking with Tom, how would it be different if you knew what you knew now, back then? Would there be any difference? If you could go all over again, but what you know now, about that, would you act different?
I definitely would. Everybody makes mistakes, and when, the approaches I've made through, the bullying and, when you defend yourself and whatnot.
Right.
And so, you defend yourself in a way that, that that makes you look big. It makes you look hard because you can't really do anything and nobody else is doing it for you. Nobody's helping you out through it. And reading his book and knowing, even him telling me, just ignore them, stay positive, have a positive attitude through all this. And it's all, Tom, you're my hero and you know that.
Well, I continue to say you're my hero because you're the reason why I wrote the book, and you're the reason why I want to, speak to kids, because nobody should go through what you've gone through. And the important thing is when you try to react to how a bully treats you, you have to look at them in their eye, and you have to tell them it's unacceptable. And that's hard to do for a young adult, a middle school kid, because they're going to be ridiculed because the bully's thinking, well, what the heck is he saying or she is saying? But you have to be relentless. You have to basically stand up for yourself, not physically, because that's not going to solve anything. You have to continue going to an adult, a teacher, a parent, or whatever. You have to talk about it all the time, and you have to report it. And if you think that's tattletelling, well, it's tattletelling, but it's something that has to be done continuously.
Does it seem like tattletelling? If you would, report, to someone, is that the sense you get, or they look at you like?
Of course, people are going to look at you, teenagers, adolescents are going to look at you and be like, why are you a snitch? You're tattletelling. And, yeah, it is tattletailing, but then at the same time, it's for a good reason.
Well, yeah, it's your safety.
Yeah, definitely. And so, you, like I said, you shouldn't have to walk the halls and be scared. That's not, you weren't put here to walk around the halls and just fear for your life.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, and Tom, too, you mentioned you react to. So can you explain a little more? Because I agree with you. You shouldn't just react if someone, confronts you. You should ignore it, because that seems to solve it more than, going back and forth with them.
Well, being bullied, being a victim is born out of fear, because you just don't know what needs to be done or what needs to be said, because it happens over and over again, and you think, well, this didn't work. So you gotta find your true path of what you want to do. But to eliminate the fear, you have to start building yourself from within. You have to look in the mirror and make a decision that you're going to think of yourself as not being different. You have to think of yourself as something special every single day. And I would say if you don't like how you look in the mirror, just get a better mirror. You need to have a different perspective on yourself. You need to feel like you're worthy. And that's the reason why I wrote this book, is because when you feel like you have no avenue to go towards, you spiral like you did, because your mother was there, and you went through all these different things, but it just wasn't working until you made the decision. You make the decision that things are going to change. If you want to change things in your life, you have to change the way you think about yourself. Simple as that.
Well, and I think, too, we're going to have Logan's mom on after break, but, could you talk to your mom about this? Or, like you said, it was like no one would listen to you. Kind of, and here's all this happening, and, the school wasn't,
it was hard to talk to my mom, but then at the same time, it was so easy. You should, as a person, you don't feel like you need to go to your mom for stuff, but I was kind of at my breaking point, and, nobody was doing anything, and I was always coming off the bus, coming home and crying and just, in my feelings and just, and I could always talk to her. She's not only my mom, she's my best friend too. And without her, I don't know what I would do. She's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Well, that's great. I think that's great. And we're going to have her on once we get a break and stuff. We were talking during break, Logan, about cyberbullying and physical bullying. Can you help us out here? The difference, what it means?
Cyberbullying is more of online. People are, exposing people, telling, being rude and just, saying hateful things and just really putting people down. And, physical bullying is, yeah, it hurts, but those scars, those bruises, that all goes away. But when you tell people stuff and you input that into your mind and stuff, you just realize that, that stuff just doesn't go away. It's not that easy. That's why so many people in this world struggle with depression and, anxiety, and just because people can't, knowing that they have all of that.
Well, and I think too, when you're a kid, there's a lot of peer pressure, and who you think your friends are important to you, and if someone, your friend at school all of a sudden starts, cyberbullying you, it's hard to take. You can't just, like you said, shut it off, because I mean, this is like your voice, with people you commend to and stuff. So, would you do it the same way? How did you get past that though? The cyberbullying. You just have to let it go. Just know they're not important.
It took a lot of, talking to people, and I attempted things that a person should never have to, and mainly because of words and the hate and everything with that. And now I thank my counselor that I talk to every week. I thank Tom for always sending me positive messages every morning when I wake up. I'm always looking forward to what he has to say for the day. He's always giving me new challenges, and I just can't even, And I definitely, thank my friends and my family for always sticking there by my side. Now these days you can't really trust anybody. It's not easy. And the only people you can actually trust now these days are your family or your family friends. So.
Yeah, and that's true. And with today's society too, of families, breaking up and stuff, it is very hard. Like you said, going through a divorce and all that. So, has it been better at school for you now? Since, like you said, you're kind of on an inner journey here.
Yeah, definitely. I actually this year, my 10th grade year, I started off at Central and moved schools, and it's just different. The people there, the environment there, I'm getting great grades now, and I've met so many amazing people, and yeah, I've had ups and downs there, and yeah, bullying goes on there, but when I go talk to the administration, they take care of it. They just don't, they don't tolerate that. And it's great to finally have somebody take care of it, and you don't have to fear walking down the halls like I did.
Well, Logan, hey, we're going to take a break. We got some Adele coming up, Someone Like You. Again, this is Iconic Radio, and we'll be back shortly. We just got a song, and we'll bring on Logan's mom next break. Thank you. All right. right, Iconic Radio. This is Bruce. We're back on the air. Appreciate all the listeners. Bill brought down a list. We want to thank, we got listeners from Bristol, Indiana, Cleveland, Tennessee, Elkhart, Indiana, Seymour, Indiana, and a big shout out to Venice, Florida. So glad you're on the air. Joining us with Logan and Tom. And it's really nice. I had a great conversation with Logan's mom, Erica. Thank you for being on. And we're going to talk now, too, with Erica, just about what it's like. I mean, we started, what was it like? Logan talked to you about the situation, and what was your feelings about it?
It's really tough when you have a daughter come into the world. You want great things for her. You want her to go to school. You want her to be a cheerleader. You want her to get great grades. And she did all that. She was a cheerleader. She gets great grades. The only thing we don't anticipate as parents is something we have no control over, which is the bullying. And it started when she was in the 3rd grade. She would come home and she would be crying and begging me, asking me, why does this happen to me? Why does this girl hate me? What did I do? You have to help me. We have to go to the school. And as parents, we want them to work their own problems out. But when they're continually coming to you and begging for help, as parents, we want to jump in and help them. So I did try to help as much as possible. I went to the parents. I went to the school. The parents were very, very, very good friends of mine.
Oh, wow.
Actually, the grandmother of the girl was an honorary mother in my wedding just 7 years ago.
This had to be weird. These people are that close to you.
They live in our neighborhood. 3 houses down from us.
Wow.
And we don't have any problems in the neighborhood because we don't see them. It was in the school systems. It was where I couldn't protect her, where I trusted somebody else to protect her, and they didn't. And
why do you think that, though? I mean, why do you think the school systems can't?
Well, I don't, I've asked myself that question many a times. We've been into the school. We've had meetings with administrators. We've had attorneys. We've had continuous meetings with the parents and different school teachers and different principals. And it was always the same thing. I will talk to her. We'll get the girls together and we'll talk to them. We'll talk to her. We'll talk to her. And it was over and over, and the talking is all that ever seemed to happen. There were no consequences for Logan getting her head smashed into the window and Logan getting pushed down the steps and chairs being pulled out from under. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Logan was being suspended from school. Logan was getting beat up. Logan was needing to fist fight her way out of situations because she was being attacked. And made fun of. I've spent thousands of dollars on acne medication and depression medicine and counseling sessions, and I've watched her lay in a pool of tears in the bathroom floor. We've gone through cutting. We've gone through pretty much almost anything and everything you can think of as a parent that you never want to go through. And thank God I have a very strong support system. My grandmother and my stepmom and my mom and my sister-in-law, they're amazing. And I have an amazing group of friends that stand behind me so that I can be strong for Logan. My husband, my ex-husband, they're all very supportive of what Logan's doing. And to put all of that aside, to watch where she was 8 months ago before she knew Tom, before the book, before she thought there was hope, I was holding her in the fetal position in a suicide unit, and she was crying, and she was like, Mom, I don't want to be here anymore. Nobody's ever going to help me. We're going to keep asking for help, and no one is going to help. So if I'm not here, you'll be better. And I just died pretty much right there. A piece of me just left because there's nothing like not being able to help your kids. And so finally, we just prayed and prayed, and my mom always said, my grandma said, pray. And you don't know what you're praying for until it happens. And I do believe that God has a purpose for Logan. And I believe that this is her purpose, to help kids that are going through the same thing. She's had an outpouring of people that she's helped already in just a month. And she's a completely different girl. And I'm not saying Logan's perfect. She is a teenager. She has made some huge mistakes that she will live with for the rest of her life, that will follow her into adulthood. But there is never an excuse for bullying, for putting your hands on somebody, for the mental abuse, and for the emotional abuse that these bullies put on kids. And kids today, they have no censor at all. And the internet makes it so easy. Facebook and Twitter. I mean, you can call somebody a name on Facebook, where when I was a kid, you had to come to my front door to call me that name.
Yeah. Bullying back then was at least face to face.
Yeah.
I mean, you had and you could. But I agree with the Twitter and all that, and I don't know why kids take that so important now, but they really do. I mean, someone can just text you something, and it means the world to you. I mean,
well, it's easy. There's no consequences.
Okay.
I mean, me as a mother, if Logan bullies somebody on Twitter or Facebook and it's private message and it's not out in the open where I can't see it, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
And victims like Logan, they're too afraid. You know, a lot of people don't have parents they can go to. A lot of people say, oh, you're just being over dramatic. Oh, you'll be better tomorrow. And they don't listen to the kids anymore. And I believe that kids get away with it because we as a society have allowed them to get away with it.
So a parent, if they're listening, what should they do? They should be more listening to their kids when they come with this. I mean, you know, obviously Logan was lucky to have you, you know, to help you out with it. How would parents be able to do that with their kids if they're not getting that right now?
I mean, be involved. I was on PTO, and one of the biggest reasons why I did that was so I could be in the schools, because I knew she was being bullied, and I knew there was nothing that I could do. I knew they were saying what they were going to do, but when you see a staff member laughing with the parent of the bully, you pretty much know that your options in the school are limited. So I put myself in the middle and just put yourself in your kids' lives, you know. Yeah, they're going to call you nosy, and yeah, she doesn't like me some days, and yeah, she gets mad at me when I comment on her posts on Facebook, but that's my job. And if she doesn't like me at least 3 days out of the week, I don't feel like I'm doing my job right.
Why do you think parents are stopped doing that, though? I mean,
I think that parents are busy. I think parents have a huge life now. You know, we're not all Betty Crockers in the kitchen anymore. And honestly, I really feel like working moms, working dads, we don't have the time like mom, pa did in the house, you know. We're just, you know, we're too busy being soccer moms instead of listening moms. We're too busy being baseball dads instead of listening dads. And I think even if we could just take one day, my mom's always telling me, slow down, Erica, slow down. And so I think if we slow down, we'll hear our kids a little bit more, because if we don't, the suicide rate, it's plummeting. Logan's had 2 or 3 friends in the past year take their own life because of bullying. Switching schools, dropping out of school. We have my very good friend, her daughter doesn't even go to school anymore. She's 16, and she does work online because she was bullied so bad that she would throw up every morning before she had to go to school, and the anxiety was so bad. And thank God Logan has mentors, and she's strong so that she can overcome that. But a lot of people don't. They don't have that strong person to push them.
Is there any advice you can give for parents too going to schools now? I mean, I know you said you didn't get much luck with it, but is there better avenues, you know, to go talk to the schools now?
It's really hard. We exhausted every avenue. To be honest with you, I haven't learned that avenue yet. A lot of people called Logan a coward for leaving the school system she was in, saying that, she took the easy way out. It wasn't easy for her. She started completely over with kids that made their friends in kindergarten. And she's in the 10th and 11th grade and maybe has a handful of friends. And there's days when she eats lunch alone because she doesn't have a best friend anymore that she's had since kindergarten. All her best friends are in her old school system, and she doesn't speak to them anymore. So it's hard as a parent to know where to come and go to. The only thing I could suggest is what we did is we sought out a teacher at her school that she felt very close to. And this teacher took her back and forth to school, and she was an amazing outreach for Logan. She was somebody that if she was having a rough day at school, she would seek shelter in her room, even if she had to skip a class, if she had to call me. So that would probably be the best thing to do is search out somebody in the school you could go to.
Oh, that's great. And Logan, that helped you out, right? Having a teacher, someone in the school?
Yeah, definitely, because I didn't have to ride the bus with the bully every day. I could, in the mornings, she came, picked me up, then I had cheerleading right after school, so I didn't have to ride the bus pretty much at all, unless I didn't have cheer practice and I had to go. And that's kind of, it tended to always be on the bus, so most of these events happened on the bus because they can get away with it.
Oh, because, the driver's up front and...
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Well, it takes a lot of courage, I think, to change schools like you did. But would you do it again if you had to? Was that the right choice for you? Change schools, when you had to change schools?
Right now?
Yeah.
I don't believe I would have to. I think that I would be able to handle it completely different. I think I would be able to just do it completely opposite of how I did it the first time. And there will never be a bully like the one I had at my old school.
Yep, and that goes back, I guess, with Tom, too, on his book. It's a proactive approach. And, Tom, what do you got to say on that? Anything?
Well, I gave Logan a challenge. And part of the book, one of the core values is called sacrifice. It's basically you want to put yourself out there, giving yourself the opportunity to look at someone and saying something nice to them. So I gave her the challenge to do that. And it's a twofold thing there. What happens is you not only make the other person feel better about themselves, but it also starts making you feel better about yourself because you now have more worth that it's no longer you don't have eyes on yourself, you have your eyes on somebody else. And she's been doing that consistently. And how's that affected you, Logan?
It's just, now it's kind of a habit. When it used to be just, a challenge, now it's more of I walk in school and I'm just like, you look beautiful today. Just that can change somebody's whole entire day. It can just turn it around. There was just a few weeks ago, I was at lunch and I was sitting with, the little friends that I had there at school. And there was this girl sitting alone, and I went up to her and I told her, "Why are you sitting alone? You do not deserve to be sitting alone. You're beautiful. Just no one deserves to sit alone." And so, yeah, she may not, she may be awkward, she may be socially awkward and whatnot, but when you really get to know a person, it's not what it is in the outside. You can look at somebody and be like, and judge somebody, but in the inside, they're probably one of the best people you will ever meet. Truly.
And you don't know what they're going through because a lot of people probably didn't know what you were going through at the other school. And nobody reached out to you. And that was the problem because you didn't have that kind of support system and you didn't have your peers do the same thing for you. And that was the problem. And now you see it on the other end, what it's like to look at someone, regardless how they look, and you can see something good in them. And obviously she didn't expect it. And anybody who doesn't expect it, they're going to have a different outlook on their life.
Yeah. And at this point, I can just, you're always going to have, your thoughts about other people. But now I can look at a person and just be like, they have a story behind them. I really want to know what it is. And that just is what encourages me to go up to them and speak to them and, find out what it is that I can help them with, what I can tell them, what give them, challenges like you do for me.
Well, and Tom, it goes back to your book too. I mean, even in a chapter of it, like you said, you have to be the proactive of it, and take the initiative, I guess, of it. But it kind of, like you said, it changes, and the changes got to come in for you. If you want to change the world, you change yourself. That was one thing you had with it and stuff, which I think's great. I had a text come in. Adam said too, have you ever blocked Facebook? Do you know how to block Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, so and most kids do know that. So
yeah.
If someone's bullying on Facebook,
you just block them, you report them. Yeah, you can practically block a person out of your life, I can't say completely out of your life, but online. You don't have to put up with somebody, cyberbullying you. You can just block them and, not have to deal with it.
But about that, sometimes it's the parents that are bullying. You wouldn't believe how many people I've had to go on Logan's Facebook and my Facebook and block the parents. It's not just the kids that are bullying. I have adult women that have sent me private inbox messages telling me, horrible things about my daughter and, about the things that she's doing because she's not perfect.
Wow.
So they think that she has no right to stand up against bullying because she's a teenager. And the hateful words, you can go online right now and I bet you it's blowing up from certain parents saying things about kids, just horrible things, and we as parents, we don't stand up for our kids, and I stand up for other people's children. But if we stop doing that, it's going to get worse and worse because we're not teaching the kids anything.
Right. Hey, we're going to take a break. We got some Barbra Streisand, and we'll be right back. This is Iconic Radio. All right, that was Barbra Streisand, people. This is Iconic Radio. As always, we want a big shout-out to Adam Nelson, who has been fantastic in making this radio show possible, and also the Iconic Cafe. And one of my favorite spots is having Logan look at the menu that Adam designed. And Logan, what do you like about the menu?
Well, these biscuits and gravy look pretty amazing, to be honest, and I would smash on that. And some, walking tacos. That's like something I'd get at a baseball game, and to have that at a cafe, that's amazing.
So how do you like the design? You like the front cover?
Oh yeah, definitely. I kind of like the old time kind of look to it. I love the guitar. Can I have that guitar? Because yeah, I do have a guitar. But.
Well, great. Well, Adam, always appreciate it. Like I said, you can get Adam on my Facebook. Download to him. He does a great job with marketing and menus and everything. So thank you very much, Adam. We also shout out to Beijing, China. They are listening today. Always appreciate it. And again, for Bill, let me do the XCRS weekly events. Phoenix Grill, Friday night, Top Secret, Saturday, Hipposonics, 5-Star Dive Bar, Thursday night, Open Jam, Friday, Blammo, Saturday, Deadly Devotion. Cheers Pub on tonight is Open Jam. Friday night is Attention Deficit, and Saturday is Forever Gypsy. Rock Sports Bar has Paul Erdman on Saturday night, and Bill himself will be playing with Members Only, and that'll be at Smith's Downtown tomorrow night. So please check all these out. Bill will be on, too. He's got the Radio Classics tonight. The Shadow, that is a classic. The Laughing Corpse and Phantom Fingerprints. And these are brought to you by the Phoenix Grill. During our break, I was talking to Tom, and what he brought up is a good point. You know, we've been through a lot, and now we want to discuss kind of the solution of all this. So, Tom, why don't we start with you with that?
Well, I like to think that there's a universal solution to this, but, you know, like I said before, bullying has happened for decades and decades, so you're really not going to stop bullying. So what you're going to have to do, what we discussed, you know, all the things that has happened, is you have to look at yourself differently. And, you know, it's the hardest thing to do, but then again, it's the easiest thing to do. Because you have to find a way to make the decision that you're not going to take it anymore, and you keep looking at yourself and saying, I'm going to change. I'm going to change. And the thing with a bully is obviously they bully somebody who shows some kind of weakness. And it's not because, you know, they're a terrible person. It's not, Logan, it's not you're a terrible person. It's you're different. Mm-hmm. And then they prey on that. And if you let someone prey on you constantly over and over again, you just feel like you just don't have any way to get out of it. And maybe it's just not one person. It could be a bunch of different people. And anybody else's bully, the same thing. Because they have to find a way to go to somebody and say, you know, this is happening and this is happening, and not fear, just like Erica said, that nothing's going to come of it. But if you continue to draw within yourself constantly, other kids are going to do the same thing against you all the time, and that's what they did to you, Logan, all the time. So, but you turned the corner. You turned the corner big time, because you made that decision that you're going to change your life by changing the way you think about yourself. Simple as that.
And Logan, what made you decide to change? I mean,
definitely. I mean, I have a little sister, and what I'm doing is for her. I mean, it's not just for her, it's for everybody out there that's being bullied, that doesn't know how to handle what's going on, what's exactly going on, you know. But my little sister definitely, you know, seeing her now being bullied, you know, she walks around school and there's girls that spit in her hair, throw gum in her hair, spit on her desk, and it's like, sis, you do not have to live with like that. You don't have to handle that. Like, you don't have to deal with it at all. And it just, she's the reason why I changed, definitely.
You know, and two, again, Tom, I come back to your book where there's good stuff in here to help you change. I mean, also by reading, you know, having a sister, but a book that, you know, there is a story in here that, you know, you read and you understand, and that, well, if he can do it, I can do it kind of thing, which I think is a big factor too.
Well, it's a slow progression, like it was in the book. You know, he, just like Logan and Erica said, that Erica said that Logan was making mistake after mistake. He still makes mistakes. And Charlie in the book was making mistakes. He drank. He was involved with shoplifting, some small things. But each time he did this, it's a slow progression of saying, okay, you know, why am I doing this? Why do I need to correct this? You know, that has nothing to do with bullying. Absolutely nothing to do with bullying. All it means is you look at integrity. It's integrity basically means is who you are when nobody's looking. When you get shown that value to someone, that builds you up as a person. When you talk about responsibility, taking ownership of your attitude. When you talk about respect, obviously everyone knows respect. You know, you want to be treated just like everybody else, and how you want to be treated. courage. I mean, doing the right thing when it's not the most popular. All these different things, all these different values that everybody should live by, not just young adults, but everybody else. Every time you follow those core values, you're going to win out all the time. And every time you do this, you build up your self-esteem. And that's the only way it's going to work is if you make that decision. And obviously, you've turned that corner again.
Mom, did you have to do that too? Look inward, when all this was going on?
Oh, yeah. You as a parent, you start questioning what you did wrong immediately.
Really? Why? Why that though?
Because I'm her mom. It's my job to make sure that her thinking is correct and that she doesn't hate herself. And at least that's what we think as parents that we're supposed to do. We're supposed to make it so that she never gets hurt. She never feels hurt. She never sees hurt. Well, that's not our job. And I had to look in myself and along with my mom, who helped me and told me, honey, you can't fix her. You can only guide her. Wow. And what she does with her life and the choices that she makes or does not make doesn't reflect on you as a parent. You've guided her this far. Now she has to take what you've given her and she has to go on with that. That doesn't mean that I'll ever stop being her mother. I'll always be there. And I've put things in place for her. Like she said, she sees a therapist. She gets counseling. She takes medication. She does things that she needs to do to fix her. And I gave her those opportunities. But if she doesn't wake up in the morning and take her medicine, that's not my fault. So, yeah, I did have to look at it. And one of the things her counselor said is she had to start taking natural consequences, which meant if she did something, then the consequences are on her shoulders, not mine. And so that's hard because I want to protect her. I don't want somebody to not like her. So I was at the place when she was going through the deepest part of her depression and the deepest part of her bullying. I was on my Facebook sending messages to the kids' parents. I was calling them on the phone. You know what your daughter did to my daughter today? And so my life was in turmoil because hers was. And so I had to step back and look at my life and say, what can I do better to help her be better?
Well, when you were talking, too, about you can't change her, I think that stops a lot of parents getting involved because it's hard to take that. Really. It
is hard. It is hard, but you can't. You can only guide them. Changing them and guiding them are two separate things, and a lot of us parents think they're the same, and they're not. Changing them makes them somebody that they're not, and it shelters them and keeps them hidden. And guiding them is showing them that it's an ugly world. And if you're not prepared for it, they will kick you down. So she, thank God, has found a way to turn it around. And she's doing a wonderful job at doing that.
Well, thank you. Logan, we had someone call in and ask a question, which I think is great, too, is why did you decide to do this interview on the radio?
I decided to do this interview because I want people to know that it's okay to speak up. It's okay to tell your story. I decided to tell my story. Now it's your turn.
How does it make you feel now that you've done it?
It's definitely a relief, honestly. I've held this back for so many years, and, on my way here, I just kept just kept thinking, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. But now that I'm finally doing this, it's just amazing. Like, all these messages that I'm getting from people saying how you've changed my life. I didn't know you'd gone through this, and you're such an inspiration, and it's just, I'm happy I did this. I really am.
Well, and that's why that we made the decision to when I go into these schools and speak, I'm bringing Logan along with me, and she's more relatable than I am. I wasn't what I would consider a tormented teen, or because I just wouldn't allow that to happen to me. But to bring someone like Logan to some of these speaking engagements, that the kids there are going to relate to her, and obviously throughout all she has said tonight, I don't see how anybody can not draw inspiration from Logan. It's an incredible thing to see the transformation in someone that's been tormented all those years, and she could have turned the other way, and she didn't. And now that when she goes into the schools and wherever I go to talk about bullying, she's going to change kids' lives. And it's just an incredible experience, and I am so looking forward to it, Logan.
Yeah, definitely. So am I.
Well, Logan, we're going to wrap it up. Do you have any shout-outs you'd like to give on the radio?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout-out to my grandma down in Venice, and Joyce, and my grandma Robin, some close friends, Anthony, happy birthday, Sarah, Alexis, Corinne, Haley, Billy Joe, Brianna.
My best friend Tiffany and my sister Megan.
And my other friend Brianna, and Joe. Yep, so thank you guys for listening.
Oh, yeah, and Keith, so you don't get your feelings hurt.
Any more? You're scrolling down there.
Taylor, Sharon, definitely, Addison, Michaela, Kaylee, Gracie, Morgan, and
Yeah.
what? Brittany. I said my best friend's name.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and she's reeling off all these names, and this is my third show. I got zilch. I got nothing.
Well, hey,
maybe after the fact, but...
Well, we're going to wrap it up tonight. Again, Tom Russell, his book, Finding Your True North, A Bully Teen's Journey of Hope. Logan, always appreciate it. Ma America, thank you very much. It was very good. Next week, we should have Option 5. We'll have them on the show. Want to thank Brenda, of course, at the cafe. Adam, always appreciate it. And we'll finish up with a little Back in Black, AC/DC, Bon Scott. He passed away many years ago. Iconic Radio.